everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Lymph Lounge, the conversational podcast about cultivating a state of flow in our bodies and our lives. So sit back and relax because today I am sharing with you a wonderful interview and also a free guide related to the topic of the interview. So today on the show, we are expanding on the theme of the drainage pathways, and we will be touching on the topic of brain health. Remember that in part one of the drainage pathways, we discussed the glymphatic system, a brain-wide fluid transport system discovered in 2012. And the glymphatic system removes waste products and excess proteins such as amyloid beta protein, which is associated with neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. So today I am sharing with you an interview I did last year with Marcia Moran. Marcia overcame aphasia, and one of the tools that helped her is actually a microcurrent neurofeedback device specifically designed to support brain health. One of the reasons why microcurrent is so beneficial is because it supports lymph flow. I am a huge fan of microcurrent. Remember that the lymph system responds really well to frequency, energy, and vibration. And microcurrent is a frequency, so definitely a great lymphatic tool to have in your arsenal. And I invite you to stick around after the interview as I will be sharing about the free resource for this week, which is a brain health guide. So without further ado, here's a little bit about our guest today, Marcia Moran, as well as the wonderful interview we did together. After successfully building her business over the last 20 plus years, Marcia Moran thought she had life by the tail. Little did she know what was in store. Marcia has written over 50 business plans and helped entrepreneurs strategize over how to differentiate their companies in changing environments. After helping other entrepreneurs start their companies, she decided to found her own consulting practice called Performance Architect in 2012. But in 2014, she suffered a major stroke. Marcia applied her skills in planning and strategy as she strived to become whole again. She never gave up. Over time, she learned to walk again, but Marcia struggled with aphasia and language disorder. In August 2017, she discovered a technological breakthrough that minimized her speaking ability. Marcia wrote the book Stroke Forward because she felt there is a need to share hope to stroke survivors and their caretakers. Learning to become her own health advocate, one step at a time, and exploring holistic methods for healing are key to her recovery. Marcia speaks and shares her message of hope, inspiration, healing, and a way forward as she goes across the country. She welcomes new opportunities to help individuals affected by major health crises move ahead. She became a health and wellness coach to brain injury survivors and their caregivers. No one truly understands stroke until it happens to you. Marcia holds a BS in political science with a magna cum laude from the University of North Dakota and a master's in business administration from Chapman University in California. A woman of many talents, she attended school in Norway to study art. She earned a certificate in Well-Being Foundations of Personal Transformation from the Personal Transformation and Courage Institute in Virginia. And recently, Marcia also earned certificates as a health coach and a life coach from the Health Coach Institute and as an IASIS certified provider. She wants to help other brain injury survivors get better. What a journey. What a story. So happy to have her here. Hello, Marcia. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
It is my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so one of the things that I love the most is to hear people's incredible self-care journeys, and yours really caught my attention. To me, it looks like you went back into your body and really did the work. So this incredible journey started around 2014. Am I correct?
Yes, correct. Actually, it's almost 9 years now.
Wow. So tell me more about your story and the timeline of events and what you went through and all that.
So I woke up and I felt off. So I picked up my phone and texted my friend to tell her that I wasn't meeting her for breakfast. And I found that I couldn't read my text. I thought, well, this is weird. Well, I must be tired.
That's always the thing with women. Oh, we're just tired.
Right. So I put my phone down and I rolled over, and bam, I got the worst headache imaginable. And despite the pain, I fell asleep. The next time I woke up, I knew I was in real trouble because my right side was paralyzed. And I
Wow.
knew, so I knew that I had a decision to make. I could either get up out of bed or I could lay there and possibly die. So I rolled onto the floor and I dragged myself across the carpet using my hand as leverage. And I got to the closed door and I tried to reach up for the doorknob, but I couldn't quite reach it because I was stuck to the floor with my right side.
And you were alone at that point.
I wasn't. See, my husband was downstairs. It was
Okay.
Sunday.
Okay.
I could hear the TV, so I knew that I could get there, maybe. So I don't know how many times I reached for the knob, but I finally got the doorknob and it snuck open. The door did. And I was so tired, I just had to take a break. And I don't know how long I took my break. But finally, I had the gumption to crawl down the hall. And I was halfway down the hall and I totally ran out of gas. Just like I had nothing left in me.
Wow.
And I knew my husband would be coming up for a soda sometime. So I thought, please don't make it too long. And crash. I don't know what it was that fell, but something made a loud noise. And my husband came up and he said, Marcia, are you okay? And that's the point I realized I couldn't talk. He said, Marcia, can you talk to me? And I went, no. He said, I'm going to call 911. And he did. And then he took a look around the upstairs to see if he could find what happened to me. And he couldn't find anything. So he came back and sat by me and waited till the paramedics arrived, which was about 10
Mhm.
minutes. And the first one through the door said, when did she have her stroke? And that's the first time we thought of the word.
Wow.
And yeah,
And then they brought you to the hospital and
right. So they loaded me into the ambulance and I lost consciousness. So the first time I was awake after that, they had put me in a hospital gown. They had a needle in my arm and my husband was there. So they did all the tests while I was unconscious. Yeah.
okay. You were left with some symptoms though, eh?
Oh, yes. So to be honest, I still feel some symptoms today.
Mhm.
So we're talking 9 years. But immediately following, I had the paralysis went away. So I had semi-paresis. My
Okay.
foot, knee, hip, and shoulder were so painful. And that pain lasted for a couple of years. My foot went out to the right side when I was
Mhm.
walking. It was really funny. I, I couldn't swallow. I couldn't speak. I had a lot of brain fog. People could talk to me and I could understand what they were saying, but I couldn't speak to them. So the consciousness was there, but they couldn't understand that it was. And that's really frustrating.
Yeah,
Um,
you must have been.
mhm, yeah,
And I know you overcame like most of your symptoms. That's incredible. So what was going through your mind at that point?
I was lucky to be alive.
Yes.
So that's really what was I was thinking. It's like, thank goodness I got up and tried to find help.
Yeah.
Um, I would say that being brain foggy, I didn't really think.
Mhm.
So the one thing that I do remember deciding is that I would do a 5K run on my first anniversary of the stroke. And I made that during my hospital stay. Now, I
Wow.
will tell you that I didn't make my goal, but
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking I would do.
Yeah, but it gave you the strength to push through.
It did actually. And I think that's something that's really important for people to understand is that you have to have a long-term intention,
Mhm.
or you might not have the fortitude to go through whatever you've got to go through because it takes a long time. And It sometimes doesn't feel like you're making any progress.
Hmm.
And if you don't have that goal that you're looking to achieve, it might be really easy to give up. And I don't know how other people are doing it, but I worked out every single day for years on end.
Wow. Now you're also a life coach, right?
So I am. The interesting thing is that more than life coaching, I have become an IASIS microcurrent neurofeedback provider. And I find that those sessions are more beneficial to people than the life coaching.
Wow. Yeah, I do actually also am a big fan of microcurrent. So tell me more about the IASIS. So is that the neurofeedback part that you mentioned in
It,
your story?
yes, so the IASIS microcurrent neurofeedback device is incredible in my mind. So I had aphasia, and the National Aphasia Association says that if you have aphasia more than 3 months, you will probably will have it for life.
Hmm.
And I didn't like hearing that.
Yeah.
So just think about going through life wanting to say something and not being able to say it to anyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started looking for solutions. And at 2 years, I found somebody who said, you might try my chiropractor. He
Hmm.
has a laser. And I thought, okay, that's weird that a chiropractor has a laser, but oh well. I'm desperate. So I went to this guy and he said, look, it's been 2 years. I have no idea whether I can help you, but I will try it 3 to 5 times.
Hmm.
And if you're not getting better, then we'll know that this is not the therapy for you. And I said, fine. So I tried it and I could talk better the first day. It's like, wow,
Wow.
that might be the thing. So before the next session, I was out running because it's coming up on 2 years, and I was going to meet my goal of running the 5K.
Yeah.
I fell during my run, dislocated my elbow. So I called my husband and asked if he'd take me to the hospital, and he did. And in the hospital, I learned something really important. They gave me morphine. And when I was on morphine, I didn't have aphasia. I went,
Oh,
interesting. So I know that there is something out there that will work. It might be this laser treatment, right?
was that the low level laser therapy?
It was.
Yeah. I'm also a big fan of
Yeah.
that. It's all healing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I went back and got laser on my head once my arm had healed enough. And August came around and it suddenly didn't work anymore. I went, okay, I'm just going to talk to the doctor and see if he can do something else. And so I talked to him and he did change my therapy. So instead of just doing the laser above the point where I'd had my stroke, he did the laser all over my head. So front of
Yeah.
my head, back of my head, two sides, and on top. And that worked pretty well. So after about a year to 2 years of laser therapy, I could talk to people on the conversational level. So if I were not tired, I could say my name. I could talk about the weather.
Wow.
But if you were going deeper, I couldn't say it.
Hmm.
So I was happy with the laser. It had done a whole lot for me, but it didn't actually make my aphasia go away, right?
Hmm. You were
So
looking
at
for
three and
the
a
next
half,
step kind of thing.
exactly. So the next step was the IASIS microcurrent neurofeedback device. So a different doctor who I went to said, I got this new device. I think it would be helpful for you. Here's the URL. Go see if you would like to try it. So I went home and I'm looking, and it treated all sorts of things. And I'm going, okay, I'm not sure I really believe this, right?
Yeah.
So ADHD, anxiety, depression, traumatic brain injury, a whole boatload of things. And so I went, huh. A little later, I read that 85% of people who use this device got better. So 85% of traumatic brain injury survivors. So it's not exactly a stroke,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of similar with what you experience, right?
Yeah.
I'm going, okay, that's a pretty good percentage. And I read further and found that there's nothing in this device that will make you worse. I'm going, okay, sign me up.
Yes.
So I went in for my first appointment and he did some testing on me.
Mm-hmm.
And the test showed that I had PTSD. And I went, okay, well, that makes sense. I didn't really think about it. But having a stroke and trying to recover, of course, I'd have PTSD, right?
Yes.
Oh, and then he did something called the brain gauge, and that tests your cognitive functions. He was testing me before
Okay.
I started the IASIS,
Yeah.
you know, to just kind of get a baseline.
Yeah.
And when it was done, he put my hair up in a funny way, and he used something that I like to call cat spit to clean me. I'm going. So it was wet, it was sticky, and it was gritty. And it's like my cat was licking me, and it's like, okay. And then he put goo on my head, and he wanted to make the electrodes stick.
Yes.
He turned it on, and I could see my brainwaves going across the monitor, but I felt nothing. I thought, is he kidding me? Is this all a joke?
You know what, Marcia? This is so interesting because every time someone tries a microcurrent device for the first time, even if it's for skin, they're like, it's not working. I don't feel anything. But microcurrent is so
Right.
similar to your own body's currents because we're electrical beings that we don't feel
Mm-hmm.
it.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So when it was done, he took the leads off, and I went on my merry way home. I could talk better that day.
Wow.
After 16 sessions, I talk like I do today. So if you think about it, before IASIS, I was aphasic. So someone would talk to me, I'd know what I wanted to say, and I couldn't say it. So I could kind of think of something similar to say, maybe, and say it. Sometimes I couldn't. But afterwards, I didn't have that problem anymore. Someone could say something to me, and I could speak right back.
Wow. And 16 sessions, was that once a week or twice a week or three times? Or?
So it started off at twice a week,
Uh-huh.
and then it went down to once a week, and it was once every 2 weeks, and then it was once a month, and then
Yeah. So within a few
I was
months.
done. Yes. And the interesting thing is, he said, okay, you're done now after 16 sessions. I'm going, okay. So do I never come back again, or what's the deal? And he said, some people come back for
Mm-hmm.
tune-ups, some people don't. So it's kind of up to you. And I went, okay. So I did have a few tune-ups. So the first one was probably about 6 months out.
Uh-huh.
After that, I would say it was probably a year. So, when they say you're done, you really kind of are mostly done.
Wow. Yeah. And so you decided to offer that service?
Yeah, so it's odd that I am actually offering this
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not a healthcare provider.
Yeah.
So I talked to Barry Bruder, the guy who invented the
Yeah.
machine, and Dr. Fuller has, I'm going to say, sponsored me.
Yeah.
So I'm actually working under him because if I have questions, he's there. And it's really a cool thing because these two people believe enough in me that I have a new profession. I'd say
Yeah.
that, so some people don't get better if they use this machine. I haven't found any
Mm-hmm.
that don't, but there's no guarantee that you will get better. I think if you have had a stroke or another brain injury,
Mm-hmm.
you should at least try it. That's my
And
opinion.
nothing is ever guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's so much that you can get from it. So it's not only
Mm-hmm.
speech, but the IASIS device actually treated me in a way that it helped my balance.
Mm-hmm. Well, it probably helps the whole
Um,
brain health.
oh, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Tell me more about the work you do with Stroke Forward. So that's your own organization that you founded?
Yes. So the interesting thing is, I founded it because I wrote a book called Stroke Forward. And I had people tell me, well, this isn't going to do much in the of revenue. I mean, it's nice that you have a book,
Mhm.
but you won't get the kind of revenue that you're thinking about. I'm going, okay, that's fine. Well, they're right. The revenue is fine, but it doesn't make me happy. I guess I feel like once you've had something that happened to you that's life threatening and you find something that is a solution,
Mhm.
you have to tell people about it, right?
Yeah, you wanna
So,
scream
I,
it from the top of the mountain.
whether or not people believe you.
Yes.
And I think it's really important to, again, be cognizant of what you do and get the word out however you can because people need it.
Yes, and tell your story.
And tell your story.
Because oftentimes, and it's normal, it's human nature, we're embarrassed by our own story or some details about it. But once we get out into the world and it gives permission to other people to also tell theirs.
Yeah. The only thing I'm really focused on now is the ISIS microcurrent neurofeedback.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody comes along and they want coaching, that would be fine.
Mhm.
But I find that I also coach when I'm giving them the feedback.
Yeah. So you can do both at the same time.
Be- right, exactly. And it just feels like that's the way to go of giving them the neurofeedback
Mhm.
and kind of coaching them along the way. And it doesn't feel like coaching,
Yes.
to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's the most appropriate thing to do when you see someone struggling from a stroke?
So the acronym BFAST comes to mind. So it's B is balance. Do they have balance or is one side off?
Mhm.
E is eyes. Can they see out of both eyes or is one kind of losing sight or is two losing sight? Those things might be a stroke.
Mhm.
F is face. Is their face drooping on one side,
Mhm.
right? A is for arms. Can they lift their arms up? If they can't, if one side is moving kind of slowly or not at all,
Mhm.
you might be having a stroke. S is for speech. Is it slurred? And that was definitely me.
Yeah.
And T is for time. It's time to call 911.
Wow, that's a good acronym.
So if you see any of those, you need to call 911.
Mhm.
Because for every minute a person is having a stroke, they lose 1.9 million neurons in their brain.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So what about after?
So the first thing to do is ask someone if they want help. If they don't want help, then you move on. If they do need help, find out what help they actually need. So if it's someone who's talking and they want help, try to understand what the meaning behind what they're trying to say is, because you can say anything and it could be way off, right? So you
Yeah.
kind of have to know the person. If it's moving, give them a hand if they want it,
Mhm.
or just be close to them in case they would fall. It kind of depends on how much help they want. It could be they're tired and they need food, but they don't really want to go to the store. Maybe you can go to the store for them. Or maybe you can do the lawn for them because they don't want to go out and work in the yard. You know, you don't know unless you ask.
Exactly. So Marcia, where can people find you?
So they can go to www.strokeforward.com.
Mhm.
They can email me at Marcia, that's Marcia, at strokeforward.com.
Yeah.
Do you hear a pattern coming
Well,
up?
it's easier to remember that way.
Yeah. If they're interested in the ASIS device, they can go on my website or they can go to microneurofeedback.com.
Mm-hmm.
And they can actually see if there's a provider near them. And if there isn't, they can actually give me a call and we can see whether or not we can think of a way to get a provider near them.
Yes. Yeah. Canada is always a bit slower for those modalities, but once a few
Mm-hmm.
people have it, then it explodes. That's how it works in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been around for a long time, and I think it hasn't exploded the way it needs to.
Hopefully
You
it
know,
does. Microcurrent is really powerful.
it is.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add before we end this episode?
Sure. And this is for providers,
Mm-hmm.
caregivers, and patients. Never give up. You can always get better as long as you think you can.
What an inspiring quote. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And we tend to forget it. The body is very powerful.
Yeah. It's amazing. So I spoke to somebody who had a brain injury 2 years ago, and he was told that he wouldn't ever walk again. You know what? He's walking
Wow.
in 2 years. You just never know.
Exactly. When you decide you want to do something, the body is going to work with you to achieve that.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Marcia, for coming on the podcast. This has been truly amazing. What a journey you've been through. Thank you for sharing your journey and your experiences and your tools with us. And I hope you get to inspire many, many more people with your work.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
For today's free resource, I am sharing with you a guide on brain health. Your brain works tirelessly 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even while you sleep, your brain is hard at work. Your brain controls your thoughts, your emotions, your memory, and your movements. And basically, it acts as the boss of your body, regulating your breathing, heart rate, circulation, lymph flow, of course, and so much more. That's why keeping your brain healthy is crucial for your overall well being. Of course, genetics and age play a role in brain health. In fact, it's normal for your brain to change with age. That being said, you have more power over your brain health than you think. The choices you make today impact your brain health tomorrow and in years to come. Implementing certain brain friendly lifestyle habits can certainly help. And today I am going to share some of them with you. And certain lifestyle habits can help improve your memory, boost your mood, sharpen your focus, and of course, reduce your risk of brain disease such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Before we dive any further, here's a few fun facts about the brain. The average adult brain weighs 3 pounds and has a texture like firm jelly. 60% of your brain is made up of fat. Hence the importance of enough supporting fats in your diet. It doesn't just help your lymph and your skin, but also your brain and every cell in your body, because all cell membranes are made predominantly of fat. Another fun fact is brain information travels at 260 miles per hour. Additionally, the brain can create about 23 watts of power. That's enough to power a light bulb. That's probably where the expression having a light bulb moment comes from. Again, I am not a brain expert, but what I am doing today with you is I am sharing some information about promoting better brain health in everyday life. As usual, you take what works for you and you can leave the rest. Everyone is different, everyone has different needs. So today we're talking about neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to adapt and respond to change. And every day, your experiences and actions have the power to help your brain form new neural networks and keep it active. So today I'm going to share with you 5 ways to help boost your brain's neuroplasticity. First one, learn something new. Every time you try something new, it challenges your brain to form new neural networks. So you can learn a new language, take a salsa class, or try a new musical instrument. Your brain will thank you. Second way to promote neuroplasticity is to read. Reading helps your brain stay balanced and sharp. Reading fiction enhances your creativity and imagination, while reading nonfiction stretches your brain to learn valuable new skills. So it's kind of related to the learn, the first one that we covered. Third one, play games. Playing games isn't just fun, it stimulates your brain to form new neural networks again. Board games, chess, crossword puzzles, card games, Sudoku, and even escape rooms all give your brain a workout. Another way to increase your neuroplasticity is to alter your routine. The brain thrives on novelty. Even little shifts can help build neuroplasticity. So take a different route to work, for example. Brush your teeth with your left hand instead of your right. Every little change helps. And last but not least, exercise. Physical movement reduces stress, improves sleep, and promotes blood flow to the brain. It also triggers the release of chemicals that boost learning and mood. Aim for at least 150 minutes of exercise every week. So this is what I had for you this week for the free resource. Don't forget that you can have access to a PDF copy of this guide plus additional information when you join the newsletter at lymphinitiatives.com/newsletter. And you also have access to all past resources. So this is what I had today for you in the Lymph Lounge. I hope you enjoyed today's interview and topics. I would love to hear your main takeaway today. You can leave me a rating or a review or even a comment on the blog post and ask your questions there as well. Again, this podcast is available on Pocket Casts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify podcast platforms, as well as my own website, lymphinitiatives.com/podcast, in the form of a blog post, and also on YouTube. Make sure you go ahead and follow or subscribe and turn on notifications depending on which platform you are on. Have a great weekend, everyone, and I will see you in the next episode.